Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal. Happy Saturday morning. Bachelor Nation News is not stopping for anybody. This is our cartoons, if you will, right? Well, we've got the Clayton Echard paternity scandal. New court documents came out yesterday, Friday afternoon. It is Clayton's lawyer's response to Jane Doe's response. And it's just, one tennis match, very slowly moving tennis match. But I have to say, the most interesting part in my eyes is Clayton calling Jane Doe's bluff. I'm going to show you these text messages where you see him call her out almost immediately. And it's wild stuff because and again, some of these may be hard to read, but even though it's geez, how the hell are we? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to show that Clayton tells her to take the plan B after she says, respond to me and I'll take the plan B. So then he does. And then, of course, what does she do with that? Oh, my gosh, it goes on and on. All right, well, we might as well get into it right now. We have a lot to discuss. But I have to tell you this. We have some wild announcements. On Friday, yesterday, I did about a half an hour phone call with somebody, and they were terrified to speak to me. It is a news source, and I am going to be releasing a little bit of information today on the Patreon. I'm not ready to make a video on this yet. I'm still acquiring a few things. But here's the title of my new post. I'm hearing about a fourth victim in the Jane Doe saga. We call him victim number 0. He came before the other 3. And I'm going to finish writing that post after this. Go to patreon.com/Dave Neal if you want to support. Otherwise, just wait around while I put the pieces together. The Patreon has kind of become a place where I am still acquiring my full story, and I'm letting them kind of see the process. Okay, so, and again, you know what I mean? This is how it has to work. This is the reply to Jane Doe's response to motion for sanctions. So it's all about that money. Who's going to pay the bill? We went to Olive Garden. I got the unlimited breadsticks. You only got a salad, but you got a daiquiri, and I got an additional side. Who's paying for the avocados? They always upcharge you on the avocados. So either way, this is the who's paying for it. Respondent, Clayton Echard, by and through undersigned counsel, hereby replies to petitioner's response to motion for sanctions pursuant to Rule 26. The very crux of this frivolous litigation is easily resolved by petitioner Jane Doe disclosing non-confidential and uncontroversial evidence of her claimed miscarriage, as well as the statutorily required fetal death certificate affirming the same. So they put miscarriage in quotes because that's what Jane Doe is now calling it, although we do know that it would have been after the 20-week mark and would actually be considered a stillbirth, which requires a death certificate. They underline non-unconfidential and uncontroversial to respond when they said, oh, it's confidential, it's controversial. They're saying, there's nothing controversial here. Just share with us the information that you claim to have regarding this paternity case. And then if she does share that information, well, if she does prove she was pregnant and pursuing this paternity, then the bill's on Clayton. You know what I mean? Then he's slapped with the bill. But, why wouldn't you want to prove that? You know what I mean? If I'm at dinner with somebody and they're like, who got the chicken cacciatore? If I don't, they're like, all right, I was going to pay for it, but I don't know who got it. I got the chicken cacciatore. Okay, I'll get the bill. Is that the dumbest analogy ever? Yes, but it's like she needs to prove that she was pregnant, and then if she does that, then it's easily, goes to Clayton's side that he has to pay for this because he spent more time trying to prove that she actually was pregnant. Does this make sense? Gosh, I feel like I ate mushrooms. To the extent applicable, respondent incorporates all his pending filings. As in for this reply, respondent states as follows. The requirements of Rule 9C have been met and or were impossible to meet due to petitioner's refusal to acknowledge Clayton could not have made her pregnant. So she refuses to acknowledge they only had a blowjob. As fully detailed in Clayton's response objection to petitioner's motion to dismiss petition to establish paternity, legal decision-making, parenting time, and child support with prejudice, filed January 3rd, 2024, Clayton, the respondent, clearly informed petitioner in writing that she could not be pregnant by him as they only had oral sex. Respondent even offered to meet in person with petitioner with witnesses present in light of her concerning behavior to discuss these rudimentary facts. Petitioner refused to meet with him if he did not agree to her bizarre request to date and explore intimacy with her. Petitioner bringing this entire action knowing that she was not and could not be pregnant by respondent is the conduct that violates Rule 26. That petitioner is now claiming that she was somehow not given notice of her sanctionable conduct is patently absurd. As conveyed to her directly by respondent through respondent's granted injunction against harassment, through 3 paternity tests, and through counsel, petitioner's filing was based on fiction. This is not an instance where petitioner may have mistakenly alleged something that needed to be corrected through an amended filing. This is a uniquely disturbing case where petitioner expended judicial resources to fabricate a pregnancy narrative, to force respondent into a relationship with her, invited media attention, and is now desperately grasping at procedural straws to evade providing simple and uncontroversial disclosure like a government certificate confirming the alleged miscarriage. Just show the proof. That's all you have to do. And by the way, this sort of framework for trapping these men, victim number 4, or I should say victim number 0, the new person we're kind of learning about here, shares strikingly similar aspects of, and again, not through the court system, but through their own story of what went down. All of petitioner and evidence that she's in one way or another trying to keep that story from entering the lore known as Jane Doe. All of petitioner's filings arguably violate Rule 26. She's violating it all, folks. Petitioner's underlying petition to establish was filed without merit and for the sole purpose of coercing respondent into dating petitioner, as petitioner was not and could not have been pregnant by respondent after oral sex. Without belaboring the point, every single filing in this action since petitioner has been presented for an improper purpose such as to harass, cause an unnecessary delay, or needlessly increase the cost of litigation includes claims that are frivolous and unwarranted by existing law, is entirely lacking in evidentiary support, and contains factual contentions that are unwarranted based on the evidence. As has been the crux of Clayton respondent's filings, Jane Doe could not have been pregnant by respondent as they did not have sexual intercourse and has provided no verifiable medical information or evidence to support her claims, ostensibly because none exists. Notably, petitioner again reasserts in her unverified response that she was pregnant with twins, despite providing no evidence to support this claim other than a sonogram stolen from a 7-year-old YouTube video and positive HCG tests, which are discussed below. Put simply, petitioner's filings are predicated on bad faith and contain allegations that cannot be supported by verifiable medical evidence that complies with Rule 2. That petitioner now claims she has witnesses to support her claims that allegedly fear coming forward is illogical and irrelevant. Again, I also call bullshit on that. It's like, listen, not one person from her camp has tried to contact me or anyone who's been covering the story. Wouldn't they, whenever there's a he said, she said, you have people from both sides sharing privately, like, get this out, get that out. Not one person from her side supporting her. In fact, people from her quote unquote camp have been racing to my DMs to talk. And if she would ever call me out on that, I'd say, honey, you don't want to know what we know, okay? You just don't, because it doesn't support your case at all. It actually supports the contrary. So these aren't just random people out to get you. These are people you know that see the bullshit. All petitioner needs to do is sign basic HIPAA forms to allow respondent to obtain her medical records and sign the form provided by respondent to permit Arizona Vital Records to release a fetal death certificate to confirm twin fetuses miscarried. Well, maybe she miscarried while she was on the Arizona-California border, right on that line, so it didn't factor into the Arizona jurisdiction or the California jurisdiction. It was on the Colorado River. She was whitewater rafting. You're not going to believe this story. And there is actually no jurisdiction of the non-existent fetal DNA. It's in the non-existent fetal DNA live in a non-jurisdictional area, and therefore case closed. I mean, did I just give her? I mean, are we grasping at straws? Or okay? Petitioner cannot now claim that discovery is ongoing while simultaneously failing to comply with any discovery, including a willful failure to appear at a properly noticed deposition. Sanctions consistent with Rule 26 are clearly warranted and necessary. Petitioner wanting to be pregnant and being pregnant are two different things. Yikes. Despite her repeated assertions, positive HCG tests are not verifiable medical evidence of pregnancy. Parenthetically, per the Office on Women's Health, a blood test which petitioner ostensibly never underwent, is the best way for a doctor to confirm pregnancy. Causes other than pregnancy can trigger false positive for HCG, including fertility treatments and various medications. Moreover, according to the American Pregnancy Association, the presence of HCG is only a sign of pregnancy. Ultimately, that petitioner was ostensibly able to produce a positive urine HCG test is not conclusive because to date, petitioner has provided no Rule 49 disclosure to support her claims that she was pregnant. All right, so this is all stuff we've already known, and they go back and forth. It's like, get us the medical records. Petitioner's HCG tests prove nothing in her reliance on them when she could provide simple and basic evidence to dissolve the claim that she wrongfully filed. This action begs many questions about her credibility and motivations. That's what it comes down to. Early on, we go, well, she tested positive. You just like believe people early on, and then you realize, oh, that has, that doesn't have any merit. There's no weight to believing somebody when, at first you should, but then you see that there's no credibility there. Like, if I was to tell you something, you would probably believe me because I think my channel has boatloads of credibility. When I talk about a fourth source called Victim Zero, it sounds like that's a real person. That person's been verified. I've heard stories from people in the know, and it seems like this exists, and you would trust me that I'm not just lying to you, and privately maybe I would show you that evidence, but publicly I'm keeping my sources airtight as a way to give people the comfort to come forward and know that I will kind of, put puzzle pieces together without sharing their identity. Why wouldn't I want to share their identity? Because they don't want to deal with Jane Doe. They don't want to deal with her, okay? They don't want to deal with her bullshit. They don't want lies made up about them. They don't want that, you know what I mean? People have moved on. Some of these victims are married with kids now. They don't want to deal with this type of stuff. But they want it to be brought to an end. Enter us. How are you? Good to see you. Don't fuck with YouTubers. Seriously, don't do that. You don't want to do that. Petitioner's baseless allegations that respondent is using the court as a publicity stunt and that he is leaking information serve no purpose other than to deflect from her own culpable actions. As detailed extensively in respondent's response objection to petitioner's motion for confidentiality and preliminary protective order, petitioner Jane Doe initiated this action, reached out to the media, publicly shared a Dropbox of her personal medical information. Again, information on that Dropbox she's now using after she publicly shared it to accuse me of revenge porn. She called the FBI on me, all these types of things. And continues to harass, sue media personalities. Hey, that's me. Why am I the only one who got sued? I don't want anyone else getting sued, but what did I do? Does she have a crush on me? I'm married. Come on, chill out. You can join the Patreon, but leave it at that. You could buy some merchandise, if you want. Some podcaster here. She sued some podcaster. That'd be great if they said that. Respondent has had to come forward to respond to petitioner's public claims to protect his image and reputation and to rectify the damage she has done. Yeah, she thinks he's doing this to grow his image. He's just protecting his image. Unlike her, he had a image to protect. She's using this, in my eyes, my opinion is these cases are used to sort of lab grow victimhood, like a lab grown diamond. She's not a victim in real life, so she's created scenarios in which she is the victim so that she can present those on TED Talks and podcasts where people will be like, oh my gosh, you're so brave. And for every victim out there, they should be really offended by this because she's watering down real stories. Rather than comply with simple discovery requests or provide even an iota of Rule 49 disclosure, I learned that in science class, iota, willfully ignore deposition notices, continue to file meritless motions. Meritless motions has a good ring to it. Just like a photo of her and called it meritless motions. And force respondent back in a court. Respondent has had to rely on community support. Justice for Reddit. I'm Justice for Clayton. Hello, it's Hello, it's Justice for Clayton leader. Here with community support. To defend himself against petitioner's meritless claims and to prevent her from making another TEDx talk to claim that she was somehow cyberbullied into a miscarriage. Respondent continues to incur significant attorney's fees and costs because petitioner's unreasonable conduct. As such, he should be awarded his reasonable costs and fees in having to file this reply consistent with ARS. This entire action by petitioner is predicated on fraud upon the court. Fraud. Fraud. A petitioner continues to seek out media attention and exhaust all her procedural remedies to evade basic discovery and disclosure obligations. Perhaps if petitioner provided the statutorily required fetal death certificate and verifiable medical records to support that she was ever pregnant with twins, she would look less like, as stated by petitioner's attorney, a crazed woman who fabricated a pregnancy. Why can't the police just knock on her door? And again, I understand the rights we all have, but like, why can't they just go into her medical cabinets and be like, what are you doing in here? What do you got going on? What's causing these pregnancy tests to flip, you know? And again, I don't want anyone to break the laws. I want the laws to protect people. But like at some point, if the judge is saying, tell us these things, it's like, let's go and invite, where are these doctors? Can we get someone like a secretary or somebody who works at one of these doctors to tip us? You know, my thought is that there no records exist, so they can't share a negative. Either way, Clayton signs it right there. And then we go to the exhibits. So here are some exhibits from May 25th. Okay, this is like the week that the incident of swallow happened. I'm assuming swallowing happened. Maybe they were spitting. That could have caused it either way. Either way, a stroke of luck began on May 25th. Here's what Jane Doe had to say. I have one final thing. She treats it like she's selling furniture. Final offer, final sale, going out of business, last chance. You know, she uses that salesman technique. I have one final thing to say. Literally 6 months later, we're like, oh boy. Here she was with her one final thing, and then she goes on for 6 months. I have one final, by the way, I'm selling my merchandise one final day if you would like to join. I have a link in the comment section below. I have one final, and by the way, I'm sorry. I know I've had a lot of coffee today. If anyone bought my merchandise, please, and by the way, I'll link to it right now, but if anyone bought my merchandise, somebody shared it the other day on Instagram, and I didn't get a chance to repost. Could you guys do me a favor, and could you reshare whatever merchandise you've bought on my Instagram and or Facebook community? So many people have shared your crew cut things and this and that. I think over like 100 or so of you guys have bought items. So please, I want to give you guys the credit. If you bought something and want to share it, tag me on Instagram. Again, even if you already did it, do it again, and I'll repost them all today. She said, I have one final thing to say that I think you might find important and have nothing to lose by sharing it with you. I've been in a dark place, as I said yesterday, and emotionally tortured since we hooked up because I felt like I didn't know how to bring this up to you. Oh, that's yesterday's coffee. Gross. I had the wrong coffee. But okay, so, yeah, hold on. I'm trying to keep my throat responsibly hydrated here. She said, I have been in a dark place, as I said yesterday, and emotionally tortured since we hooked up because I felt like I didn't know how to bring this up to you. But at this point, I might as well. I have not been on birth control since what happened to me about 15 months ago. There hasn't been a reason since, as I said, hadn't done anything with anyone since then. I think 15 months ago was victim number 2. Being sexually responsible was not on my radar after taking the gummy and our clothes coming off. When I went to the bathroom afterwards, some of your fluids were down there. In all honesty, I was planning to take Plan B when I got home, but then when you said you were going to church, I realized you had a strong faith base as well and questioned whether or not it was a sign that I should. Then after we talked in the car, I felt even more so like both of us had a deep belief in God and like it was a sign I should just leave it up to him and not buy it. Okay, so she's used the race card, the Me Too card, the religious card. What she's running out of cards. I don't know what else she could do here. Obviously, my mind has ping-ponged about this since then, and you were obviously my mind has ping-ponged since then, and you were emphatic about me not bringing up anything that wasn't professional or friend-like, of which this situation is neither. I desperately wanted to figure out how to bring it up to you and thought that if we could just get together and talk openly, we could, but you didn't want that until a deal closed, which would be too late to take it. I wanted to ask you how you felt about me taking it from a religious standpoint, but we didn't get a chance to. Clearly, I was factoring in things that you weren't that made me panic and led to a total breakdown in communication. So this is before she claimed she was pregnant. Here's the deal. When you're claiming pregnancy to date somebody, you don't just say pregnant. You say, all right, I'll take you first say there might have been insemination, and he doesn't believe that because they had oral sex. But again, even though she never denies the fact that they had oral sex, even though in court papers she said they had sexual intercourse, which we think she means she gave him blowy. You know what I mean? The art of fellatio. Anyway, so So anyway, here we are, and we're seeing the first step. Try to get in contact with him to speak in person, and then take plan B. If that doesn't work, you never take the plan B, then you get knocked up, and then you say you'll have an abortion, and you go on with that, and then you can play the abortion card for several months up until the time you can't, and then there's, on and on and on. The more we cover this, the more we see the exact arc of how this all goes down with her. My podcast had a fertility test kit as a sponsor. Oh, congratulations. And so, yes, I know I am fertile. At this point, from my overwhelming research on Plan B since Sunday, it's most effective 3 days after, but can still work 5 days out, meaning this is the last day I could take it and have a hope of it working if it needs to. If you have any thoughts about this, I'm open to hearing you out, if and only if you are kind and respectful. This has been extremely stressful on me. If I don't hear back from you, I'm not going to take Plan B. You're obviously free to think that I'm full of snot, Musinic, but I'm not going to take Plan B. But I'm not. I'll take it as a sign that you don't care what happens either way and will just allow God's will, whatever that is, to be the determining factor. If I do test positive in a few weeks, though, there is a 0% chance of it being anyone's but yours. I'd take any test to prove it. And at that point, any input from you won't matter. So she knew beforehand that if she takes a test, that it's going to come out positive. I'll take a test. If I become pregnant, I'll take a test. Just wait and see. His response to all of that, and by the way, whenever you're dealing with a troll or a hater, brevity is a virtue. The best thing you can do is just short and to the point. It cuts through them like a hot knife cutting through butter. His response, take the Plan B. I support that. Boom. Done. That's not what she wanted. Bro, she wanted to meet up in person to have this conversation. Her response, you have been really dismissive of my thoughts and feelings, and it's a bigger thing for me to think about now than it was when this originally happened. After all, I do want to have kids. I'm not basing what I'm doing off a 2-sentence response. Then she responds later that day. So the first text, I'm trying to say the first text were at 5:15 p.m. on May 25th. So is this all at the same time? So it started at 10 a.m. He responds, and then he responds, and then she's like, no, I need more than a 2-sentence response. She says, let me tell you how serious I am about all of this. Oh, she plays bad cop now. Let me tell you how serious I am about all of this, since you think it was a plot to hold on to you. Ding, 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 bingo. Clayton called it from the beginning. If you were to tell me that we could date if I admitted to making it up as you called it before, I would tell you no can do. None of this is made up, and I am genuinely panicked. I cannot be more serious about this. So she starts, she shares a conditional statement, which was, if you were to tell me that we could date, so he never said, if you tell me you made it up, we'll date. She says, if you were to tell me that we could date, if I admitted to making it up, and you called it before, I would tell you no can do. So she's like, she's just living in a fairy tale land. All right, we have to keep going here. I don't want to take up your entire day, but I hope you're having a fun one. By the way, if you do want to support and put bread into our tip jar, you can do that at patreon.com/Dave Neal. We've grown by about 7 billion% because people cannot get enough of this content, and you want to support people that are getting sued for literally just sharing publicly available information. She says, I cannot be more serious about this. His response, I'm debating filing a police report. Please leave me alone. Yo, Clayton. Everyone with me. Clayton. Okay, good. Way to stick up for yourself. Oh boy, but then again, you just threw gas on a fire. She goes, if you file a police report because A, I'm trying to figure out about Plan B tonight, and B, I'm trying to figure out the status of my offers I made last night, and you won't even tell me if they are active or not, I will file a report with the AAR, which I'm absolutely entitled to do, but don't want to. Can you please simply help me figure out these issues? At least you said you would be part of this child's life if I'm pregnant and pay child support, which makes me feel better not taking it. Thank you. He says, no, I would file a police report for harassment and would get a protection order. These messages alone would be enough to enact one. There has not been a response to either offer, so in 2 hours they will be inactive. But again, I have text trying to transfer you over to my brokerage and you declined, so you have no case against me for the AAR. I did my due diligence. So he tried to do the right thing by giving her to someone else and say, hey, look, I can't handle my client anymore. Who wants to go make some money? You go make 50 grand off of this deal. You can have it. buy me some appetizers, get me a little 2-for-1 appetizer at Applebee's. I don't care. We'll go bowling, but I don't want to deal with this broad any longer. That's essentially what he's saying here. Let me tell you something. How to know if a guy's not into you? When he threatens you with a police report because you want to dabble on whether or not you should take plan B. That's when you know a guy's not that into you. I'm letting you know. Sometimes we have to look for clues. Oh, he didn't call me back in time. Oh, he wanted to file a police report because I was harassing him. Bingo. Then he replied, and I looked into the rules for what a father has to provide, and at the minimum, he would have to pay child support but have no involvement other than financial, which is exactly what I would do, be completely absent. You would get a check in the mail, and that's it. You'd never see me, and I would never help other than financially. But again, you're not pregnant because I did not pre-cum. So this is all hypothetical. It's funny you're trying to get me to believe I pre-came. Laugh, laugh. I can feel it when it happens, and I know without a doubt that it didn't. So again, one more thing you're just making up. So I wonder, did he not even ejaculate? Listen, I would have never guessed when I covered Bachelor News that I would ask a question about the pre-cum status here of a former contestant. I didn't think we would go there, but hey guys, this is relevant to the case here. We're not just throwing pre-cum around willy-nilly. This is Clayton's pre-cum. Wow, boy. This Saturday hit me. I didn't read this beforehand. I like to be fresh. I like for my jaw to drop at the same time yours does. So he's calling her out. So she used some of these text messages early on to weaponize against him. He said he would be completely absent. He said he would just send a check in the mail. But what he said is, up here is, look, just so you know, even if you did have this metaphorical baby, I wouldn't be there for it. I wouldn't be there for you. It would be a check in the mail, but that didn't happen because I didn't pre-cum. Laugh, laugh emoji. The only liquids coming from Clayton are in these emojis right here. Guys, why is this the most interesting? Sorry, this is a long one. She replies, I didn't know that you didn't withdraw my offers. You said I would have to resign or resubmit, which I didn't want to do because then I wouldn't be taken seriously. That's not the only reason why you're not going to be taken seriously. I wanted to keep them active since we signed a contract. I emailed you this afternoon to get an update. No response. I just emailed your agency prior to your response to ask the status. Please keep me posted on it and tell me how I can make a counteroffer. I have also checked into it with an attorney, so if you want to challenge me on it being an AAR violation, go ahead. It is. That's pretty awful about what you said you would do as a 30-year-old man to an innocent child, especially since I know your reputation is important to you. Mine is too, and I would be a great mom. All I have asked you is for kindness as I figured it out tonight, and it was cum of some sort. I don't know the difference between types of cum, but I know what I felt years ago when I was on the pill and my ex came inside me, and it felt like that to me. I know what I felt in and around my vagina, which would be the ultimate landing spot for it. Don't try to portray me as some nut job just because it makes you feel better. I understand that we are both fired up because this is a highly emotional topic, but this doesn't need to be a nasty fight. We can talk civilly about it. I think she spelled civilly wrong. And then she shared the images. I legitimately hate you right now. These are from I don't know why she reshared that right there. She says, I would not do it unless you filed something against me. But if anyone had right to file for an order of protection, had reason to worry, it would be me. You were being nothing but cruel. You were saying that if I said I made this all up, fine. But if I said I actually was worried about me being pregnant, you would block me. And then you're telling me you would be this horrible father to try to convince me to not take plan B, all while you're still technically my realtor for another 45 minutes. And I doubt you'd even tell me my offer was accepted. I watched about half an hour of clips today from The Bachelor, and for the first time, I didn't know that you had such a cold side. And by the way, she says she watched clips from The Bachelor for the first time. I now know something about Jane Doe and The Bachelor that's gonna blow your socks off. And I'm gonna say it on Patreon. I can't tell you right just yet because I'm not trying to smoke out this rabbit hole just yet. But I'm about to tell you something that's gonna blow your mind. All this time, she said she knew nothing about The Bachelor. Well, wait till you find out what we now know. She said, I watched about half an hour of clips today from The Bachelor for the first time. I didn't know that you had such a cold side until today and was truly stunned at what I saw and experienced firsthand. You can turn this around and be nice. If you just saw my message, I said I likely have until tomorrow if you want to sleep on it. I'm not taking it unless it is for good reason and don't even have it to trade tonight. Does that sound reasonable? So now she's trying to be reasonable after threatening his livelihood and all that. And can you also please tell me what happened with my offers? I see that sale is pending at $425K. Couldn't that be our offer? If I'll wait until 9:30 to be sure because I don't want to email them if it makes you look bad. But the EMD lender is on me now to let him know if he needs to send money. I want to close on these houses if I got them and need to know how to do that if you're not willing to help. I emailed your agency a few hours ago and have not gotten a response. So anyway, it goes on and on. Let's see. We're at the 29-minute mark here. Wow. So she put an offer on a house, and then I'm assuming she said, I've been trying to get an answer. So she emailed the person at the house for who she put the offer on and says, I've been trying to get an answer from my realtor, Clayton Eckert, about if the offer expired or is accepted, but I've not heard back. If it was, I have every plan to move forward and take the next steps to close the deal and didn't want you to think that I was not interested. Okay, wild. I don't even know what that means. She said, Clayton, if you can't answer me on 76, please connect me with your broker to ask him what happened and what the status is. All right, so that goes back and forth. I don't know too much about that. You might want to check your email, she says, regarding what I was told about Saturday night. Told you I wasn't crazy. No, I have not taken plan B. Not responding won't change whether or not I'm pregnant, and there are more public avenues to alert you to it if I am, which I don't want to use. I would rather deal with it just between us. Now, of course, she wanted to deal with it just between them because that's her control technique because she wasn't pregnant. The properties, I don't even know what to say. Honestly, I feel like this whole week has been a nonstop panic attack. You are so damn talented and smart with real estate, so it crushes me to see that you self-sabotaged here when you could have done 1.124 million in deals in a week. I've had everything ready to go, and you dropped the ball. And so no one knows if she was actually going to buy these properties or if she was using it as leverage to say like, oh, I can make you all of this money. Which, by the way, he's like 2 weeks into real estate, and she's like, you're so talented at real estate. Okay, selling Sunset. Selling Psycho. I don't want to see this happen to someone else and will report you to the AAR in your company unless you give me an explanation as to why you didn't submit an offer after you claimed you did. Didn't tell me that you had spoken to, left me in the lurch about whether or not you had withdrawn my offers or were representing me in the first place, and refused to respond to my request for your broker's info so I could get on top of these days. I made offers based on your input, and now I don't know what to do. I think I will pull out if I am going to be repped by the seller's agent and need to make a decision right now. This is just all too much. The last thing I want to do is make you look bad and report you as a realtor, but I would be a bad human not to try to help others. Hey, that's how I feel. I'd be a bad human if I wasn't trying to help others, which is why we're here. Oh, the tides are turned. The tides are turned. You tried to work against me. I know you are going through a tough time, and I will listen if you want to explain why you acted as you did, because despite your personal issues with me, I was owed duties from my realtor that were not provided. If you choose to ignore me, that's fine, but know that I will be taking action. All right, so she's trying to cancel Clayton. As a courtesy, this is all just the next day. As a courtesy, I just sent you what I am going to send to your boss, Austin, if I don't hear from you by 6, because I need to figure out how to proceed from here. I can't get myself to send it right now. I'm just extremely upset and disappointed right now, and for some bizarre reason, I still believe in you, despite how you have acted. Wow. Never mind. So then 2 hours go by. She goes, never mind. I'm sending it. I need help with properties, and you said your broker is the best. You have been so cold and left me in the lurch. With the way you are acting, I would never consider getting an abortion if I'm pregnant because you can't even treat me or listen to me like I'm a human being. Being kind and understanding would have gone a long way. So because she hates her potential future baby daddy so much, she would never get an abortion. And then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we have 6 days later. Please check your email. 1 hour after that, I'm pregnant. I went to the doctor today and have explained everything in the email that confirms it's yours. Oh, que convenient. And then we have the information there. Appointment scheduled. There it is. She scheduled the appointment. You got to believe it. And there are all the records. Oh, officer, she did provide the proof. She showed a brochure. When is a brochure not enough proof? As you can see, I wasn't 2 days ago, but I was today. So there she was. There's the photo. She's there, folks. Let's move it on. Oh, that's it. Boy. Whew. Well, I'm sorry, guys. It looks like I had it wrong. It turns out she actually was pregnant. And like I said, she was whitewater rafting on the Colorado River. Where's the Colorado? Hold on, let's look it up. Where is the Colorado River? I believe it's, no, I could be wrong, but I believe it's the natural border here between, so if maybe there's a chance, okay. If, again, hold on. You know, whenever we do a little bit of a, if Jane Doe was whitewater rafting along the Colorado River and the babies, which we're referring to as little to no fetal DNA, that's their name, little to no fetal DNA, if they somehow were birthed on the Colorado River, Arizona doesn't have jurisdiction, California, they are dead center. That's okay. That's the only case we have now. So somebody fax my information to Corey to let him know that maybe if she went whitewater rafting, we could solve this whole thing. All right, Class 5 Rapids, that's what we call this story. Let me know what you guys think. It's bananas. It gets crazier and crazier. I don't know what else to do, but I will tell you this. I'll be brief today on Patreon, but I'm going to share with you guys some information I know. For all of my Patreon members, don't share that on Reddit or anywhere else. That's for you guys. I'm still working on it all. That's as private as can be. So we'll keep that on Patreon. But go to patreon.com/Dave Neal if you want to join the chat about the new information. Trust me, it's job dropping. It's sad, but it's also important to know because we're working towards getting to the truth here. And whether the court system shares that truth or the public opinion gets to know that truth, we are going to be here to discuss it regardless. Have a good weekend, everybody. If there's any breaking news, we'll be here to share it. I have a vlog tomorrow, and I have a new episode of the Dave Neal Show up on YouTube. I interview one of my Nashville musician buddies. You're going to love that conversation. It's on Dave Neal Show, and you can go listen to the audio at Bachelor Rush Hour. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.